Welcome to your recruiting guide for the 3-4 defense. Now, we've done a lot of the hybrid defenses already in this series, and we'll be doing more of the base defenses, the 4-3, the multiple, and a lot of the 4-3 and 3-4 multiples in future videos. But I wanted to get the 3-4 out there because it is so widely known at the NFL level. A lot of teams in the NFL have gone from the 4-3 over to the 3-4. For those of you who don't know, Bud Wilkinson back in the 1940s is the inventor of the 3-4, but Chuck Fairbanks is the guy who brought the 3-4 from Oklahoma to the New England Patriots and is credited for bringing the 3-4 into the NFL and really popularizing it as a defense. Now, the big problem that we have with the 3-4 in this game is that the edge players here and here are actually defensive ends. So when you recruit for edge, you're technically recruiting for defensive end. When in real life, we need a more versatile type of player. I'm going to teach you not only how to recruit for every position on this field, but how to recruit for the different packages you can use on this field, which is actually the bigger piece of this. Now, again, it's a new thing. We haven't gone over packages before in any of my defenses, so stick to it and we'll get into it. Let's start with where we normally start, and that is going over the depth chart. Now, as we talked about before, I do have in the description, there is a link to the Google Sheet that shows all the depth chart positions for every formation in the 3-4 defense. But you're worried about more than just that. You're worried about more than just the starting positions. Because when you call this odd, this under, this over, see how all the numbers kind of stay the same? They just move. Go back to your normal packages here. See how they just shift left and right a little bit? And that's all you're doing here. Is an under is you're stronger on the weak side. The over, you're stronger on the strong side. The odd, you're up. The odd, for those who don't know, it means your nose tackle is one-on-one against the center, so he's gonna be commanding double teams there. No real changes, right? Well, how we're starting here is the same way we start off with all of our three-man fronts, and that is nose tackle, defensive tackle 1, defensive tackle 2. So defensive tackle 1, defensive tackle 2, and nose tackle, right? These positions, however, change up a little bit from what we're used to. So this is actually the left edge. In your depth chart, that's how it's going to start. And this is your right edge. Okay? On this day, I see clearly left edge, right edge for my wrestling fans. However, this defense in odd, in under, in over plays better in a different package. And you're going to use your right stick the first time you call this defense, and you're going to go over. We're going to go to the odd until this says OLB flip. Now, again, they're edges, Mills. Why would you want to do OLB flip? Well, because you'll notice when I do that, it changes the numbers. You see this, how this goes from 10 and 29 to 44 and 23? Well, this is changing the depth chart that's on the field. So we normally have your Mike, your Will, and your two edges, right? Well, now you have your Mike, your Will, your Sam is on the backside, and your Will number 2 takes over on the front side. Why is this important? Because the way we're going to archetype this defense, we're going to archetype this defense as if you're using that outside linebacker package at all times. You're going to have that at all times ready to go, okay? And that's because linebackers are more versatile in this game than defensive ends. You're still going to recruit for edges. But you're going to use them more in the nickel and dime packages that I'll show you. So, if we're going to do that, let's start then. Let's go with the first that we're always going to do with our defensive tackles and nose tackles. I always do this with a three-man front. I say the same thing over and over. And yes, I know pure power doesn't have the access to some of the abilities right now. That patch is coming. Might even be soon. Any of the abilities that I talk about, you will have access to at some point when you're recruiting, okay? Just trust me on that. So, first thing we're gonna do, pure power or gap. Now, this is gonna be your nose tackle and your 2 tackles here, okay? So these 3 guys is who we're worried about. And the big reason is because a lot of the time in most of this defense, those 3 guys are gonna be dealing with double teams. That's, if the run goes to the right, then you're gonna have double teams on these 2. If your run goes to the left, you're gonna have double teams on these 2. The nose tackle is almost always gonna be double teamed on this, okay? So there you go. That's normal. If you've seen my videos before, you know pure power, gap, because you're trying to take up space on the front of this defense. After that, we're gonna recruit, and I'm gonna go with what I think is more important recruiting first, even though the edge is the next up on here, okay? And that's gonna be the Sam. And the reason I think the Sam is more important, because you are gonna do a Sam here and a Sam in Will 2. So your backup Will is actually going to be a starter, quote unquote, on this defense, okay? So your Sam, another Sam, or if you want to do a Will that's a thumper, you can more than happily do that and put him there too. Doesn't have to be a Sam. Sams, I feel like, tend to be a little stronger and weigh a little bit more in this game, recruit-wise. But if you want to do a Sam or Sam here or a Will, just make sure they are a thumper. We want thumpers there, okay? And I also put a little bonus here, which I think I'm going to start doing, and that is what the ratings you're looking for. And that is finesse move or power move, one of the 2, and block shed. You want to have those 3 abilities to you on the outside edges of your defense. And that's obviously because you want to be able to stop the outside run, but you also want to be able to stop a pass rush when you're set on a pass rush, right? And in this 3-4 odd, all of these 3-4 pieces, all of them have rushing and zone coverage involved in them. So we'll get into that in a second, all right? Next up, we want to talk about the Will. Now, the Will is really important here because, oh, ignore that part. I'm cheating. You didn't see it. The Will is really important because, again, the Will is going to be the coverage linebacker in the 3-4 right here. That is your big guy right there for the pass game. The Mike is going to be more involved in run stuffing and getting into the running lanes. So your Will is going to be your lurker, your guy that you're sending back in zones more often. He is going to be the second man to the ball, not the first man to the ball, most running. So you're going to have this guy up here going forward and then this guy filling in behind. That's why I really like to use lurker. They tend to be a little bit more athletic. They tend to be, again, better zone coverage. But again, you're also going to be able to get finesse move or power move here. Very important. Sorry, it's cut off there, but finesse move or power move. Because when they are pass rushing, you want to be able to get a good pass rush from either one of these middle linebackers, okay? And that's where they start. Plus, this Will over here, again, we talked about Will 2. That's your thumper, okay? Next up, and that's going to be the Mike. The Mike linebacker. Now, we just talked about the Mike linebacker, what his role is going to be, and that is going to be a signal caller. The big thing for a signal caller is he has high awareness, high play rec. He is going to be the guy, when he recognizes the run, he's going to go forward. One of the big time mental abilities, remember, mental abilities don't upgrade in this game. One of the huge mental abilities, it's called instinct. For those of you wondering, it looks like the Kansas State Wildcat logo. Okay, it looks like, just remember Thundercats. I don't know. Remember, it looks like a jungle cat. It's instinct. And what instinct does as a mental ability is allows the players with instinct to react faster to the run game. So if you ever think your linebackers are not getting there quick enough, it's because you want to have this ability. This is a huge bonus mental ability if you can get it on your Mike. Because again, you want your Mike to have good play rec, good awareness. He has to be the brains of your defense is going to be your Mike linebacker. You want to have block shedding on this guy, specifically because, again, if he's the first one there, you want him to be able to shed off guards. Because, again, with a 3-man front, there's going to be a lot of guards that the Mike is going to have to deal with. Okay? Instinct is a big bonus. It's not a necessity. It's a big bonus. We love those. Now, before we get into the secondary, let's talk about the edge rushers. Now, the big thing with the edge rushers here is that we're going to be using them in the nickel, okay? Every one of these nickel formations, except for the 3-3 mint, we've talked about the 3-3 mint before as a 3-man front, but every one of these formations here, okay? Every single one of them uses your rush left end and your rush right end and your rush defensive tackles, okay? That means in your depth chart, you actually have specific spots for pass rushers for this. And I love it. With the exception, again, we're going to talk about this. With the exception of the 3-3 mint, we're not going to use that for right now. We'll go back to the 3-3 mint when we get into play calling, okay? But for every one of these, okay, you have rush left end, rush right end. Let's see here. Make sure I give it to your right. I want to make sure I give it to your right. You're going to have rush left end, rush right end, and then obviously your sub linebackers, right? And the big reason that this is our only reason for going after edge defenders, okay? No other reason. They're not going to play in the 3-4 because you're going to package them out. They're not going to play anywhere else except for pass rushing. So what we're going to go with then is speed or power rushers. Not worried about edge setters here. I want these guys to, number one, have acceleration. I want so much acceleration, not top speed, because remember, if you get off a block, if you've got a tackle here, right, and you've got an end here, you're not worried about speed, because as they come off the tackle, when they get blocked here and then shed off, acceleration is what gives them that initial boost. You don't need speed if you can get up to like 80 speed or 75 speed. If you've got an 85 acceleration coming off the edge here to get to the quarterback, he's not going to have time to run away from you. The other thing is, we all know it, we all hate it, when the QB is in the pocket, right? And you want to contain to the outside, acceleration is big here as well. That's why I tend to lean on speed for the outsides here. But power rushers also work. Sometimes power rushers with power moves. If you go against tackles that are not pass protectors, they tend to be a little low on the strength sometimes, or a little low on the pass block power. So power move might work better with them. But either one of those is good. The secondary, easiest secondary you'll ever put together, chat. Easiest secondary. I just called you chat. I hope you're okay with that. That's what I call my Twitch people. But anyway. Easiest secondary you'll put together. Zone, more coverage, all coverage. I'm not worried about my safeties being up in the box in this. I'm not worried about hybrid coverage. I barely run zone coverage with this. I do run a lot of zone cover 3, which is a match coverage, but we are worried because you're going to get home so quickly with these blitzes, and because that's the point of this defense, I'm not worried about man coverage. If you want to get man coverage, perfectly fine. You want to get a field cornerback? Field cornerbacks will work here. Field cornerbacks tend to have, so if you're going zone, you're probably going to have the best zone cover of any of the recruits. If you go field, you're going to have a little less zone coverage. So a little less zone coverage than a zone quarterback, but your man coverage is going to be a little bit higher. So if you want to have that little base where you can swap around a little bit, this is perfectly fine. If you want to go field, that's your trade-off. But for me, I want zone coverage on this defense. I want them back in the back, just picking off balls, because it's going to be guys under pressure. You want your eyes in the backfield at all times, like they're going to be in zone coverage. That's what I want out of this defense. Okay, so you have all of your archetypes. Let me show you how to use them. Okay, let me get this off the board for a second, because it's really cool to see this 3-4. Now, the odd front, think of the odd front as your base defense. Nose tackle, your nose tackle is going to be heads up over the center. Right here, every single time. That's the first matchup. And then you're going to have a guard and a guard, and whichever way they want to go, one or the other is going to double team the nose tackle. You want this. And this is why you want your beefy nose tackle, right? Because your beefy nose tackle is going to take up the blockers while you get your Will or your Mike get into one of these gaps, okay? If you're going odd, I like to run, it's the, let me double check this. It's the odd is the, this is the too high version of the defense. Under, over, and bear, I like to run one high. And by what I mean by one high is, you see here, one high safety, cover 3 sky. You are going to call so much cover 3 with this defense, okay? And your cover 3 is going to be your base defense in this 3-4. I really don't like to run much man out of this. I would say if you're running zone coverage, if you're not running blitzes, just your base coverages. So 1st and 10, you know, if they're on schedule, you know what? For those of you who don't know what schedule is, it is 3 yards for every down. So it's 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4. If any of those or lower, you're essentially calling base defense, okay? So to do that, what I would tell you is zone coverage to man coverage. I'm going to run zone coverage probably 75% of the time. Okay? And by zone coverage, I mean cover 3 man, or cover 3, cover 2 invert, because you're not going to run a Tampa 2, you're going to run a cover 2 invert, which we'll show here in a second, to about 25% man coverage. I'm barely going to run anything in terms of match, but if you want to run a cover 4 quarters, if you really want to have this, I would say run this, and then let's get here. Then push either Y when you're in pre-snap, Y or triangle, right? Depending Xbox, PlayStation, and then up on the right stick or down on the right stick. And what this does, this cancels match coverage. This doesn't make it match. It turns it into zone coverage. So you're in zone drops. If you push down, these 2 pinks become hard flats and they cover 0 to 5 yards. If you push up, they become curl flats and will cover 10 to 15 yards. So you're giving up the flats if you do up. Just a heads up, I know we talked about this in previous videos, but you might see new views for every video. I want to help out as many people as we can, okay? Again, cover 2, invert hard flat. This is gonna be a 1 high defense. This is gonna be a 1 high defense, right? And then hard flats from the other safety and hard flat from the cornerback, with the cornerback running backwards. Big reason why we want to zone is because these guys are going to hustle back there, okay? Same thing here. If we're going to go to the over, cover 3 sky, trio sky zone, cover 2 invert. Really like to go out of that 1 high. And if you want to go one step further in the odd, cover 3 shell. See the right stick down here? Right stick up, cover 3 shell. We want to make sure that we get our package in. Make sure you have your package as outside linebacker flip, okay? This is important. Outside linebacker flip. And then when you go into your odd, cover 3 shell. When you go into your under, cover 3 shell. You want this defense to look 1 high. You want to confuse. That way when you call this cover 2 invert, this cover 2 invert now becomes a weapon for you. Because CPU defenses have seen this cover 3 all game, right? And then all of a sudden now you're not in cover 3 anymore, but you look like you are. CPU quarterbacks don't digest that information well, okay? Let's see, what do I want to do? Bear is Bear is your better defense for a run, because again, you're putting 6 guys. It's called a bear front. It's 6 guys up on line of scrimmage with your safety over here. That's a strong safety. And then 2 linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, and your deep safety, right? This is the one place I'd say running like cover one hole or Sam Mike 1 could be okay. But even here, I really like to run the cover 3. I love to run the cover 3 hard flat over here because you're taking away the flats. Taking away the flats is a great way to make a quarterback have to read a second read a lot of times, especially cover 3 hard flat when you have the 3 guys over the middle. Again, we're looking again. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Cover 2 invert. Cover 2 invert hard flat because we're running 1 high. You are constantly doing this game of chess with the CPU. Is it cover 3? Is it cover 2 hard flat? Hell, even out of the cover 3 shell, don't be afraid. You can't do it in this one. Don't be afraid to throw in like a cover 4 quarter, because what it's going to look like is you're going to have this guy over here, this guy over here, right? And then you're going to have your normal cover 3, except this guy's going to go back here and this guy's going to watch the seam. So now you're doing this. The CPU wants to throw the seam, right? Because the seam is a weakness of cover 3. Well, now you're covering the seam. You're covering the seam, and let's say you shade down, right? Remember, you got to shade down, shade up to keep zone. Let's say you shade down. All of a sudden, you've got the seam, you've got his checkdowns covered. Now he has to go to you. He's got to play you now, your user. And if you have a good user, which you should be practicing, you should be playing user in the middle of the field somewhere. All of a sudden, now you get to become the playmaker. Now the chess game is you and the quarterback. Okay, you throw a cover 4 quarters out of a cover 3 shell, and let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, you will have big time turnovers with this. You will have some big plays. That's the way it always works. Always works. Nothing's guaranteed with me. I just like to give you the keys. You know, I don't like to give people fish. I like to give them the tools and teach them how to fish. All right. Nickel. So a lot of your nickel stuff for this is going to be 2-4 and 2-4 double mug. Same thing. Cover 3 sky. If you want to throw it, cover 2 invert. I really like to go to the cover 3 shell on this. If you'll notice, cover 3 shell right down here again. But I don't like running Tampa 2 out of this. I don't like having to run a linebacker middle back. I do like running the cover 2 invert. Even with this middle linebacker running back here, you have a safety that looks like he's over the top to start. So again, you're disguising that cover 2. All right, that's why I like to run those things. Again, 3-4 is a disguise defense. You want everything to look like it's coming out of the same shell, that cover 3 shell. You're always gonna want to have that one free safety in the back waving high to the quarterback, and everybody else, who knows where they're going. And yes, sometimes you're gonna get beat, but a lot of times you're gonna be able to do some great things and send heat out of different spots. We talked about this with the 3-3-5 tight, the 2-4 load mug. Both of these, if you are in an out of schedule, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, I love both of these load formations. Okay, love them because when you go into it, any one of these defenses, let's go cover 3 sky, right? Let's even say nickel blitz 3, right? If you hold the button when you play call, we talked about stunts before. Now, I wouldn't use the ones that are lower on this, like the right Tom 2-man or left Tom 2-man. I would actually love to use the Texas 2-man here, or even the left exit 2-man. And that's because the blitz, hold on to this, the blitz is coming in from this side. So now you've got a tackle that has to worry about the blitz, plus he's got to worry about the fact that the end has gone inside here, right? And then the nose tackle is going to loop around. Same thing with the Texas 2-man. You got a blitz coming from this way, right? Then you got a tackle that's got to worry about a guy coming inside, a nose tackle trying to stop him from getting over there. Now you've created conflict on their line, especially if they're not blocking more than 5. All right, really love those things. Really think that they're a great way to play this type of defense on long. The other thing that I want you to know is the 3-3 mint. Let me talk about the 3-3 mint here for a second. The 3-3 mint is unique in this defense. It is a pass coverage defense, but using your base personnel. Let me say that again. Pass cover defense using your base personnel. These three right here are your nose tackle, defensive tackle 1, defensive tackle 2. Sound familiar? It should. This right here is your rush left end. Okay? My suggestion that is if you want to play with the 3-3 mint, pretty sure there is I would go and run. I would actually, you know what? I'm going to push the Y button here for a substitution. And I would take that player right here, the Sam, right? And I would put your best Sam linebacker there. In the Oregon defense, he's there by default. But in your defense, you're going to have edges as your left end, as your rushing ends, right? Specifically for this defense, I would, and again, you're going to push Y or triangle, and then you're going to scroll down until that player is highlighted, and then you're going to put your best Sam defender there. He will not be on the field yet in most of the defenses, right? Because again, Oregon runs their depth chart this way. And this is why they run their depth chart this way. Now you have a pass rusher, you have a guy that can drop back into coverage, you have essentially your normal 3-3 defense, right? You have your two sub linebackers here, and you still have slot defender, slot cornerback, slot corner, or cornerback. You have a nickel package on there. This is going to be very good for you to mix up pressures. This is going to be very good, again, disguise defense. Those of you that saw the 3-3-5 tight know how in love I am with the 3-3-5 mint. This is a version of it. This is the nickel version of the 3-3-5 mint. So, and going into the 3-3 mint, what I would be calling things is, this is where I start breaking out maybe the Tampa 2. I'm going to break out some of the overload 3 press. This is the one defense that you can sit in that's going to be too high. Okay, this is going to be 2 safeties up top almost out of every play. Okay, no matter what, you're sitting at too high for a lot of this. And this is where you can get a little bit more creative too. Let's say you want to run a little match coverage. Again, you don't have a lot, but because you've got your tackles in here, you can do a little bit more with that, if it makes any sense. Again, not something you want to run all the time. And this cover 4 drop, learn it, love it. Not something you want to run all the time. I do love Tampa sim pressure because it brings this slot cornerback in. And then again, what I tell you, your Sam linebacker, you got to have coverage there, right? You got to have coverage there. Look at how many different plays have that specific guy dropping back, okay? You gotta make sure that guy is covered and make sure you're not sending a defensive end out in that, okay? Even your cover 4 palms, your base palms sends in one of your sub linebackers and then throws this guy out here. All right? That's the 3-4 defense. Again, I would sit mostly in your 3-4s and then back off as you go into more spread. If you want to really see someone run this well, Oregon runs this defense right now. If you want to look out some Oregon defensive footage, that's one of the biggest schools right now running this, and they run it very athletically. So more videos to come. We're gonna do the 3-4 multi next. We're gonna do the 4-3, the 4-3 multi, and we're gonna conclude this whole thing with the multiple defense, which I think you guys are really gonna like. We are live over on our Twitch at 6 p.m. every night, and then starting this week, Madden releases. We'll be doing some Madden content as well. Hope you're here for it. Remember, look good, be good, do good things, and I will see all of you glorious creatures a little bit later.